Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you 10 facts about Ruth you should know. How many are you familiar with? But before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, as well as my other videos on faith, health, and beauty all year round. References listed in the description for this video. Number 1. Ruth was a convert to Judaism. Female converts to Judaism choose the name Ruth, and for good reason. Her story is told in the book of Ruth, and she's celebrated as a sincere convert who embraced Judaism with all her heart, voluntarily leaving behind the comforts of her idolatrous background to follow the Torah and the God of Israel. 2. She was a Moabite princess. Although not specified in Scripture, tradition tells us that Ruth was a descendant of Eglon, the king of Moab. She and her sister Orpah married the two sons of Elimelech, a wealthy Jewish man who had relocated from Bethlehem to Moab due to famine that was ravaging the Holy Land. In time, Elimelech died, and his sons died as well, leaving two young widows. 3. Ruth followed her mother-in-law Naomi. Now, Ruth and Orpah were very attached to Naomi, whose name means sweet. Now, upon hearing that the famine had subsided in Bethlehem, Naomi decided to return to her people. She entreated both of them to remain with their people, where they could be comfortable and cared for. Orpah turned back. Ruth insisted on following Naomi. Number 4. She was determined to join Naomi's people. At the end of a tearful conversation, Ruth famously is quoted in the Bible, "Wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." Number 5. Ruth cared for her mother-in-law. Wishing to support her mother-in-law, Ruth went out to the fields to gather isolated stalks and forgotten sheaves of grain that the harvesters were obligated to leave behind, leaving them in the corners of the field so that those who were poor could glean and be fed. Number 6. Her modesty attracted the attention of Boaz. Now, Boaz was the leader of the Jewish nation and a relative of Naomi. He noticed how she would sit down before picking grain so as not to expose herself, and that she never would take bunches of 3 stalks, which by right belonged to the owner of the field and not the poor. Impressed, he inquired about Ruth and was told that she was the former daughter-in-law of Naomi. As we know, Boaz generously invited her to pick grain in his field and to eat and drink along with his staff, which she continued to do until the harvest had finished. Number 7. There were technicalities preventing their marriage. When it came to widows, Naomi instructed Ruth to surprise Boaz while he slept in the field, dressed in her finest and freshly bathed. And when he awoke, she told him who she was and asked him to marry her, and also to buy a field that belonged to Naomi's family. And as a cousin of her late husband, it was his duty to both marry Ruth and redeem the properties. But there was another close relative who would take first priority, and only after that relative refused could Boaz marry her instead. Number 8. Ruth was an ancestor of King David. Ruth and Boaz married and were blessed with the son Obed, who Naomi, his doting grandmother, was very involved in raising. Obed was the grandfather of the great King David. Number 9. Ruth's legacy is carried on by Jewish women around the world. The book of Ruth could have just as easily been called the book of Boaz. After all, he was the leader of the Jewish people at the time and a direct descendant of the royal clan of Judah. Yet it's known as the book of Ruth. Her book underlies the central place of the Jewish woman who sets the tone for future generations and paves the way for future redemption. Now, I say she's also an example for all women everywhere. Anyone who reads the Bible can be inspired by Ruth's example of love, loyalty, faithfulness, devotion, and humility. And last but not least, number 10, we read, her story is read by Jews on Shavuot. And every year on Shavuot, the story of Ruth is read from the book of Ruth. Some read it as part of the Tikkun Layel Shavuot, the all-night learning session on the first night of the holiday, while others read it as part of morning services on the second day. Anniversary of the passing of King David, Ruth's great-grandson. The scenes of harvesting in the book of Ruth are appropriate for Shavuot, which is the festival of harvest, and Ruth was a sincere convert and embraced Judaism with all her heart. How many of these facts about Ruth did you know? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, as well as my other videos on faith, health, and beauty all year round. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you found this interesting. If so, be sure to click that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching. Continue to be happy, healthy, and whole. See you next time.